aimless turn, and this guy just, at this point, I mean, if he does just get out and decide to walk away from the vehicle and blend in, or go inside of a house, there's aimless turn. This guy just nearby to, at this point, I mean, come and aimless turn. So this guy just, have to see how this goes. At this point, I mean, if he does just get out and decide to back there, I mean, walk away, kind of keeping their distance, blend in, or inside of a house, there's aimless turn. Earlier when they kind of left it for a little bit, kept it from the sky, but they're still in the sky, and they're on the ground, just a little farther back.
Yeah, and you think he at one point we thought that he might have playing a cat and mouse game with law enforcement, right? He sort of waited close and then he'd pull off again. We've seen that numerous times with these pursuits. All right, he has to come behind. Right. There he is, Desmond, right there.
Yeah.
Pulling up next to that white vehicle on Santa Fe Avenue.
Yeah.
Veiled pursuit.
Yeah,
veiled police right behind him.
Yeah. Right. We have to give just a little space here occasionally to the sheriff's chopper involved. So sometimes we have to keep kind of a wider shot. And buildings have a tendency to get in our way. So thank you for bearing with us as we're now on Florence Avenue, traveling away from downtown Los Angeles. And look at all of a sudden, pretty quick speeds. Mm-hmm. Whereas he was kind of behaving there for a little bit. Now he's getting back on the gas pedal up to 60 miles an hour there briefly, and the police just kind of widening out to see how far back they are. They're pretty far back at this point. They may have even backed off again completely. Seville Street down onto Seville Avenue, making a southbound turn on Seville.
And still continuing, when he stops is just momentarily, almost like I'm going to let the law enforcement catch up to me and then I'm going to take off again. It's almost as if, well, if I'm driving pretty normal, then, they may just let me go. But then again, Desmond, we know if he gets down to a speed under 35 miles per hour, there is possibility of doing a pit maneuver if they so choose, which we have not seen at all tonight throughout this.
Yeah, we haven't really seen any attempt at all to stop this suspect, and it's possible that they just kind of bailed off of this one again as far as the pursuit. And that last unit that we saw that was on this guy, and I say guy, not even
mm-hmm.
sure if this is a guy or a girl, but just because the windows are so dark. But we just kind of saw him tailing the vehicle. They weren't responding with their lights and sirens. They didn't have their flashers on. They were just kind of spying on him from the ground, and then they kind of left again. So now we're kind of just left with the air on this guy. There you saw one officer right there. So they're still standing by in some areas. You see some flashing red and blue lights on some of the side streets, making yet another turn. I've got to think at some point this guy is going to arrive somewhere and get out of the vehicle and run, but definitely not seen it yet, or run out of gas. I mean, how much gas does this guy have? He's stopping and starting. I mean, if he had a full gas tank, he still has, unfortunately, a long way to go. At some point, it's still just hoping he's got a wrong turn, but hasn't been the case yet. There's not two cul-de-sacs in this part of town. This flat part of Los Angeles, the part of the street grid goes through quite a bit. Some of the streets that come up against Alameda or come up against the 710, those don't go through. But besides those two ends, a lot of the LA River, of course, but a lot of these streets, they go all the way through to other major streets, and it's been really easy for this guy to get through.
And one thing we can say with a pretty good amount of certainty is that he has been avoiding the freeways. We saw him on the 710 briefly, but that was about it, right? I mean, he has really been on surface streets for the whole time, and this probably started around, I would say, 10:15, could be off a few minutes there, but he has avoided getting on freeways when he certainly had the opportunities to do that. We just saw him get on the southbound 710 at one point, and then he quickly, I think he came up at the next exit, and now he's back. He's remained in this particular area. just sort of driving aimlessly, slowing down a bit here, lights on now, in a residential area. And we don't really see law enforcement in sight here. We know that they're still probably overhead, right, Desmond? But just they're sort of letting him. Yeah, they're being very. I don't want to say incognito, but you know what I mean. Wow, there's a bus.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. He was on the freeway just for about 2 miles, and then he got off and came back to where this all began. Really kind of went full circle and was making me think that he was getting ready to bring this to an end one way or another, but unfortunately was not the case. Continues to go, open it back up now as we're on eastbound Florence Avenue, back through the city of Bell, really close to where this began, Bell, the Southgate area, cutting through traffic. And it's weird. It's like he has a spurt of like behaving and driving just fine, and then he just is like Jekyll and Hyde, decided to go through red lights, drive on the wrong side of the road, and then he slows back down like nothing's going on. It's almost like a dual personality pursuit here.
Well, that's a good way to describe it, Desmond. And back on East Florence Avenue, again, some very familiar territory, but certainly a much brighter area, busy. At some points, we could see when he stopped at the light there, or came to the intersection, you see more vehicles on the road, cars on the road.
Yeah,
so you know what we're going to do? Desmond, just want to give a countdown here because we're going to be joining the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. But for our viewers, you can follow Desmond and myself over on CBSN Los Angeles. We'll continue there. And all right, Desmond, we are still on the air. Is this a gas station he's pulled into? Yes. Des, in a gas station. Don't tell him that he's going to get out and get some gas.
I'm really curious. We've seen it happen once before.
Yes, we have.
In a pursuit. You remember that was several months ago, Pat. A guy actually got out and was out actually pandering people for gas money.
Yeah.
Because he was about to run out of gas. That was a weird one. But now he's just sitting here and pretty weird. No units. I don't know if they've got the spotlight on him, like maybe they lost him, but okay, he's going again. I don't know if he was thinking maybe he ditched the helicopter overhead, and I'm going to tell my pilot it kind of looked like maybe they lost visual of him, and my pilot can help reestablish visual if that was the case. It wouldn't be the first time. We actually want to help law enforcement out when we can. It helps to have multiple sets of eyes on this guy. But that seemed like it would have been a good opportunity if they could have had units in place. But then again, if there would have been a unit behind him, it's hard to say if he would have even come to us.
That's very true as well. But I just kind of envisioned in my head, Desmond, that he sat there in that station long enough for them to just kind of surround him or just to pull up, and that didn't happen. But it doesn't mean they're not still following him, as you said. And I know we've been able to help out law enforcement on a number of different occasions, and this would probably be that one, because even you said you're not as familiar with Bell Police and what kind of different procedures that they follow, which could be different, of course, from LAPD, CHP, Sheriff Station. They all have their own procedures, so to speak. Now, was that a Bell Police that just passed?
It looked like it. Yeah, it certainly looked like it. They're kind of going by, giving him, the cold air as he's at a complete stop. But yeah, just so weird that he just pulled into that gas station. Maybe he just needed a quick breather on this one. Maybe he was thinking of going inside to get a snack, but didn't quite have enough time. Might have seen the spotlight out of his rearview window, across the street, and thought that he needs to continue. And that's what he's doing on Corona Avenue, headed back northbound, very aimlessly through these tiny jurisdictions south of downtown Los Angeles. But you see, he does still occasionally go by police. They're still standing by to get this guy whenever he does decide to stop, which at this point, Pat, might be a Saturday morning.
Yep. Well, we're not that far behind Saturday morning. We're close to midnight here, Desmond. heavy as we have seen through some points of the evening. So if they were going to get aggressive, that certainly could have been a possibility. Yeah. And I'm saying that because you don't see as many motorists on the street. Well, you narrowly missed that car. That car narrowly got out of the way there.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting to be, pretty late at night, especially considering COVID times, and there's really no place for anyone to go right now. So you're not going to see very much traffic out here, at midnight. And certainly, wish we could have seen a pit maneuver or something like that. But they just could not quite get into position soon enough. They really tried to box him in there, but making a turn back onto Randolph Street. Again, it's been a very popular street for this guy to be going on right now. Probably the dozenth time that we've seen this, where south of the Commerce train yard and heading eastbound towards the 710. We'll see. Maybe he'll get in a street right here where he gets into a dead end or something as he creeps closer to the 710. But unfortunately, this guy does seem to know the streets well enough to avoid that from happening. Going all over the place. He's going the wrong way right now. Yeah, you can see the street is divided.
It is the one way.
So he's going east. He's going east in the westbound lanes. He has his lights on, so at least opposing traffic will be able to see. But you see not too many street lights either. A lot of parked vehicles, and you know what? Ooh,
there's
a little close there.
Wow.
That guy's like, what are you doing? That guy the opposite way.
Sure.
Probably must have been really nerve-wracking. It's always
and look
one of
at
my
the
worst
perimeter.
nightmares to see, Yeah. So they're watching Sadie from the other side of the street, but he has a little bit of distance. We'll see how long this street continues on. A little ways longer, but this is the longest he's been going the wrong way, at least not very quickly, only about 15, 20 miles an hour. So he's, kind of ironically he's being as, how could I phrase this, Pat? He's being as carefully dangerous as he can right now. Yeah, as cautiously dangerous as the street now comes back into two-way traffic. And the police are definitely getting annoyed with this one as they keep their eyes on it from the other side of Randolph Street.
You know what makes me think of Desmond? Not trying to do a lot of conjecture here, but we really have no choice. We have, since they tried to box him in before, almost makes you think that they would certainly try to do it again, or they would, you know what I mean? I mean, to make that decision in the first place to try to box him in, that they would attempt to do something like that another time.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if they have, one of the cruisers that has those big kind of brush guards, those big guards on the front.
Right.
A lot of CHP cruisers have that, and in that pursuit that went on and on before CHP finally put a stop to it, that's what we saw. One of those vehicles that's equipped with one of those big guards in the front, so that they could, basically block in a car without worrying about damaging one of their expensive police vehicles. So if they have those kind of units involved, and those are also going to be the units that are PIT certified, if any of them are. So we'll see if that plays any factor. But we're on Atlantic Boulevard. And this was where we first heard the call, right around this area. We're at Atlantic and 55th, and it was in Atlantic and 54th is where we heard this more than an hour, actually about 90 minutes ago when we first heard this. So we've done a complete circle on this basically, I don't want to call it a joyride pursuit, but that's basically what this has been.
And he's on the wrong side of the road again.
Yeah. Again on the wrong side, and it through a red light. It's just kind of deja vu with this one. Northbound on Atlantic through Bell Gardens and the City of Commerce, I believe, might be right kind of straddling Vernon and Commerce at this point. He's going to come up to a weird intersection with the 710 if he continues on Atlantic, and we'll see if he's content to stick with surface streets or get back on the freeway.
All right, you could tell again, he's not, I can't tell if they have the night sun on him. Doesn't look like it, Desmond. We know you're overhead, but...
No night sun on him. I think that's been intentional, just to try to keep this guy from driving like a maniac, although he still does at times. Like I said, it's it's strange how he slows down and then speeds up, and next thing you know, he's on the wrong side of the road, and then slowing back down. And so he avoided that intersection that I was talking about and went on to Bandini Boulevard, and this will carry him towards the City of Commerce. And I think it's those same units from Bell. I'm not sure that we could actually technically call this a pursuit because they don't have their flashers on him. But he knows, obviously, that he's supposed to pull over, and they're keeping a watchful eye on this, just kind of stalking him and seeing what his next move is. And northbound on. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, good point that you mentioned, Desmond, that they do have their lights off. So it doesn't. It's interesting. You said, I'm not exactly sure if we can call this a pursuit right now or not, because look at that. Yeah, they don't have their flashers on. They are clearly behind this driver, but they don't have lights and sirens. It's almost as if they're in tracking mode again, but they're tracking a little closer behind. That would sort of let him know. And now look at the vehicle. I almost think that he's picking up a little speed here.
Yeah, and I'm looking on the front of that vehicle to see if he has one of those big brush guards on the front, and I can't quite tell. And even then, certain officers have to be PIT certified in order. It's not like every officer in an agency has that qualification to even do that maneuver. We've heard it on previous pursuits where watch commander will say so and so is PIT certified. You're approved to do a PIT maneuver, and then they'll go in, and they'll still have to wait for a good opportunity to do it, and then they'll initiate it, and then sometimes it works, and other times it doesn't. A lot of times it spins the vehicle around him and disables it, and then other times they are able to continue on. So kind of a dangerous turn there. It looks like he's making yet another U-turn, and these officers are going to come right with him. But it's really kind of an awkward thing because they don't have their lights on him. It seems to me if they had their lights on, at least the rest of the public would know exactly what's going on. The way it is right now, it doesn't really look like anything too inauspicious. Anything like it doesn't really look to the nearby people like anything weird is going on. Even though it certainly is. It's almost like this, like a silent pursuit, like this quiet game of cat and mouse. Kind of in a way, and again making a U-turn. So what is this guy's idea? What is his plan? Is it just to do this until he's out of gas and then surrender?
Yeah.
And just basically break as many laws as he can, and just be as flagrant as possible and annoy the police as much as possible before he goes away, or what? It looked like maybe he wanted to make a turn there, but there's another unit at that street blocked off, wasn't going to allow that to happen, but making U-turns now on Eastern Avenue in the City of Commerce.
Well, I'm glad simply because he's not driving as fast. That would certainly make things a lot more dangerous, as we have seen. So he's still, as you say, is he just trying to annoy the police for as long as he can? Probably so.
Yeah. Look at all these flashing lights. I guess we still have some red light cameras here in LA County. Yep, the City of Commerce. Boy, there's be a bunch of tickets getting sent. Oh boy, I might be malfunctioning over. That's kind of weird. That was like flashing
several.
off like a disco strobe light or something. But so we're making a turn now. So we're
on East Lawson,
pretty much in the City of Commerce now. Slauson Avenue, not too far away from the 5 freeway. Commerce, very similar to Vernon, and then it's mostly industry. It's the name. Commerce, and so you see pretty much a ghost town out here, almost no streets at all. Slauson getting ready to that's going to be the 710 freeway that he's crossing. So headed back towards, looks like we're headed back towards Los Angeles. I can see downtown LA getting a little bit bigger in the off the windshield here, but lower speeds, weird maneuvers, chaotic driving like a maniac, then slowing down, and driving like a normal person. It's just been, we've been all over the place on this one, Pat.
Yes, we have, and we still have not been able to say for sure if there is more than one person in that car, which I think is rather amazing. And I say that because we generally have a bit more information, but maybe because this is Bell, they aren't releasing as much as some of the other law enforcement agencies would. And we assume that this is a stolen vehicle. I believe you heard it could have been vandalism at some point. So not exactly sure here, but we know that this person has certainly disobeyed the law for quite some time now. And the charges just are racking up here. The more he drives,
right.
or she drives.
Some kind of chatter about vandalism. We weren't completely sure on that. And again, stolen vehicle, the most common one on these pursuits, more than half the time. That's what it is. Reckless driving, that's another really common one. DUI, reckless, we hear that a lot. But that's not to say that's what these are. But if we were going to make a bet on any one of those, that would probably be what we would say. Or, just could have been they know who this could be, an unknown suspect, someone that they've been wanting for a while. We see LA County Sheriff's deputies have not been actively involved, but they have been standing by and watching this. They've been kind of monitoring this. Their assistance was asked for early by Bell PD, and the LA County Sheriffs declined. They've not been in the chasing mood lately. They actually gave up 2 earlier this afternoon and let those go after they got a little bit too dangerous. So LA County Sheriffs tend to be on the more conservative side when it comes to these pursuits. CHP tends to be on the more aggressive side. But we're dealing with a small agency, and I guess after tonight, maybe we could say that the Bell is on the more aggressive side, unless this happens to be someone that they've been looking for a long time. Definitely a possibility. I mean, this makes you wonder since they've been, on this for so long, and then on again, off again, on again, off again. Kind of like this guy's crazy driving.
And he doesn't really
more red lights.
And he certainly doesn't. Now the officer was stopped in the middle of the intersection. Did you notice that? One of the vehicles.
Yeah, they wanted to stop
traffic.
Right. They just wanted to make sure. Yeah, they wanted to make sure nobody was going to come through and crash into them or anything like that. Going over Los Angeles River, and I hate to say it, Pat, because I know this is the worst kind of ending, but this guy is about to outlast our fuel tank. We've been on for so long now, just about 2 hours, and we were in the air a little bit before that. We do not have too much longer to go on this one. I believe he's going to be getting on the freeway again, too. So see if we can stay with this a little bit longer. Here comes the spotlight again. Maybe just kind of getting a lay of the land, but he is getting back on the freeway, back on the 710, right where he was earlier there at Atlantic Bandini, and headed southbound. And we'll see here.
With his lights on.
With his lights on, right. The first time his lights were off, he was going 90 miles an hour. So this is kind of the actually, Jekyll's the good side, right? I always get Jekyll and Hyde confused. I was going to say earlier, I think Hyde is the monster. So earlier he was driving like Hyde, and now he's driving a little bit more like Jekyll at the speed limit with his lights on. And the police, not too far away, started to keep going in and out. I just wanted to see how far away the authorities are on this one, and if they are going to.
But they still don't have
their or stick with us.
And they don't have their sirens on either, or their lights. They're driving behind, as we can see, but they're not, they're not lit up. In other words, which I thought was rather interesting.
You see the spotlight there.
And I thought it was rather
interesting. Spotlight too far off.
Right.
Yeah. So you've got units here. They're just no lights and sirens. LA County Sheriff's ship has been on this for about as long as we have. They're keeping the spotlight really far away from this guy and doubling back. Once he's pretty close to where he is, it's just unfortunate that unless he gives up here within the next couple of minutes, we're not going to get an ending on this because we're unfortunately running on fumes, Pat.
Well, we want you to be safe, and certainly, want you to start your weekend on the right note, Desmond. That would mean, of course, being safe in the sky and on the ground. And, we've seen these things happen before, Des. Well, they'll just go as long as they can until law enforcement decides to, or they decide to just stop, or they can't go any further because they've run out of gas as well, or they just get tired maybe and say, well, okay, might as well call it a day because I have nowhere else to go. They're behind me, they're overhead. And this will probably, end when it does, and they'll take him into custody. him or her or whoever else is
Yeah.
in this vehicle. We're not exactly sure of that right now.
Yeah, that is another X factor. It's just how many people are in this vehicle right now. But the police, Bell PD, still kind of hanging kind of far back. And I got to say, yeah, Pat, it seems like lately we've really been having to earn our weekends, right? Last Friday we had that pursuit at the very end of the night. They lasted until after midnight. And here we are again now, 2 Fridays in a row.
I know
going,
this.
Almost
not exactly
into Saturday morning.
Not exactly date night, is it, Desmond? I think we were joking.
No.
I think we were joking about that, about going out to dinner or something like that. But at this rate, for goodness sakes. But that's how it is in the news business. Things happen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You have hours of nothing happening. It's peace and harmony, and then you get a pursuit that goes the distance.
Yeah, and we thought that we were just going to be concerned about the win, but no, we do have another pursuit. But it looks like, and we can see Bell PD still behind, but pretty far back. Certainly not on this guy's tail, but far back enough to know that they are still there and still following this driver, who for some reason will not stop tonight. And he's been followed for almost 2 hours now.
Yeah, Pat, my awesome pilot just let me know that we're down to just about the last minute on this one.
Okay.
Once he gets down to about the 105, we're going to have to abandon this one and go land for fuel. But my awesome pilot, Mitch, keeping us safe up here tonight, he's going through a lot, trying to follow this guy, turning left and right, speed up and brake and speed up. It's it could be really tough to keep eyes on this. But pilot Mitch, definitely got to listen to what he says. He says we're just about on fumes, so I know we hate to not see immediately how this is going to come in, but unfortunately that's just how the cookie crumbles tonight.
No, that's okay. Hey, give Mitch our best, and Mitch, we're all going to go out to dinner when we get the opportunity to do so.
Awesome, sounds good. I'm going to hold you to it, Pat.
Oh, you got it. No, and I've said it on the air, so we're fine. So listen, Desmond, I'm going to bid you and Mitch a good night, and to our viewers, and we will go back to regular programming, of course, on CBS 2, and we will bid you good night from CBSN Los Angeles. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Let's fly. This is not just another streaming ad. Noise! This is gripping headlines, gripping drama, and Vulcan death grips. This is agony, ecstasy, and puppetry.
Oh, that's funny.
This is everything you've been looking for.
This is as good as it gets.
Live sport, breaking news, and a mountain of entertainment.
Place, is that right, Des?
Yeah, Pat, we've been mostly, it kind of started, was going in loops for a little while south of downtown LA. Started, we believe, in Bell Gardens. It's the city, or actually in Southgate, but it's the city of Bell that is chasing this suspect, still for an unknown reason. Sometimes it can be really difficult for us to get the information out of these smaller agencies. They don't, necessarily have a PR officer or a public information officer, I should say, standing by to give us the info. But we're back in South LA at this point, kind of on the border of South LA and Huntington Park. You went up towards Boyle Heights at one point, East Los Angeles, came blasted down the 710 at about 90 miles an hour as well. This dark vehicle has been driving mostly with the lights off. I believe that was an LAPD cruiser you saw just zoom by the opposite direction, as we're now headed eastbound on Gage, which is some good news, Pat, because he was going west and he was about to drive right into LAX's airspace, which was really going to complicate things for him. It's kind of interesting. He did that earlier as well. He was just about to get into that space where we couldn't continue any farther with the shot. Then he turned. We are, I believe this is going to be the Southgate area, Salt Lake Avenue, right where it all began. It's kind of telling to me that he came back to this neighborhood It just seems like maybe he's kind of back on his home turf and thinking that this may be a good place for him to ditch his vehicle or something. We were hoping to have seen him. He was making so many turns in so many areas. We were hoping that he was going to make a wrong turn, down a cul-de-sac or something and get himself stuck, but that has not been the case. And you see driving on the wrong side of the road. We've been seeing this a lot too, Pat. On the wrong side of the road for no reason at all, not even to get around any traffic, just for the sake of doing it, seemingly.
You know what? We've also
on the wrong side.
Oh, look how dangerous this is.
Yeah.
You know what, Desmond? We've noticed him making. I was watching you on our sister station, KCAL 9, and I noticed he made some U-turns for no reason as well, and just ended up back on the same street. Seemed to be driving aimlessly in a similar neighborhood, because I've been hearing you say Southgate, East Los Angeles for most of the night here, and that appears to be where he is again. And knowing obviously that he's either going to be caught, he's going to have to give himself up, because he almost has this sort of a desperation, Des, but at the same time knowing like, okay, well, what else am I going to do? I can stop and try to get out, which he may still try to do, but he's in the same area, which sort of is an indicator that he's familiar with this area. Now, was a stolen vehicle, or do we know that for sure, Desmond?
No, yeah, we're still unclear. I mean, he's certainly driving it as though it is stolen, but no, we haven't been able to confirm that with PD what the exact one is. But as I was saying earlier on our coverage on KCAL 9, that's probably I would say more than half the time that is the one is a stolen vehicle. A lot of times, these vehicles, the police vehicles, I should say, have those license plate readers, and if a vehicle is reported stolen in the system, it'll come up, and then they'll try to pull a vehicle over, and a lot of times they take off, and then the pursuit is on. But it's unclear if that's what it is, or if it's reckless driving. This would certainly qualify as that, or if it was something. Sometimes we see we see the police try to pull someone over for a minor traffic violation, but then these people have outstanding warrants. Someone is going to be a lot more desperate and wanting to drag this out as long as possible if they have outstanding charges or something like that. It's very rare that someone is willing to take these kind of risks, really gamble with their own life and other people's lives if they don't have something to lose, or rather I should say if they don't have a big rap sheet to go along with it.
I was going to say, this is certainly beyond just a traffic citation, that's for sure. And at the same time, Desmond, because those windows are pretty dark, can't really tell if there are other people in this vehicle. I've tried to ascertain myself, and usually when you see that light, that night sun hitting the car, sometimes you can tell. But I haven't been able to see anyone else. Really can't even see the driver in this car. Have you?
No, I have not gotten a single look at the driver. Not sure if it's a male or a female. They've had all of the windows up the entire time, and it's unclear how many people are even in this vehicle. All of the windows are about as dark a tint as you can possibly get. On a black vehicle, and again, driving without the lights on. Very, very dangerous here, especially at the speeds and coming through red lights as we've so often seen.
Well, look at that.
He didn't go through a red light that time, but he's been making these big sweeping turns from one side of the street to the opposite side, getting alongside of the road to make a really wide right turn in front of stop traffic, or doing the opposite to make a left turn. So we've been seeing a lot of crazy maneuvers for sure, and some pretty high speeds at points. Our speedometer registering actually almost 60 miles an hour as we're on East Florence Avenue. And we are headed back towards the west, back towards South LA, and we'll see how long they decide to go west on the wrong side of the roadway. Wow. Just really, really lucky that there's no traffic coming, and because he has his lights off, it's going to be that much more difficult for anyone going the opposite way to see him.
Yeah,
or if someone's fiddling with the radio or something like that, then all of a sudden this car's in front of them, and neither one of them are going to have any time to get out of the way.
We had talked about Bill possibly getting some assistance. I believe at one point you talked about the sheriff's department. Does that seem to be the case? I know I heard you say that the sheriff department backed off and they left it to Bill. From your knowledge of what you've been hearing on dispatch or whatever, is this still just the Bell Police that are involved in this pursuit, or do they have assistance from LAPD, especially when you talk about spike strips?
Yeah, no, we do believe this is just Bell PD at this point. LA County Sheriffs have just had their helicopter overhead, and we'll see how long that continues if they want to hand this off to the LAPD chopper overhead, because he's been in the city of Los Angeles quite a bit. And back, on Gage Avenue, he's kind of right on the border of, I believe, Huntington Park and South LA. So it's just been Bell PD. LA County Sheriff's deputies declined. It wasn't on the freeway long enough for CHP to get involved. We have seen some other officers, though. As we drive by, you'll occasionally see, cruisers from different agencies on the side of the street, standing by. LAPD is certainly aware of this pursuit. If they end up getting involved, we'll see. They were probably, he got pretty deep into Los Angeles when he was in Boyle Heights. He was there for probably more than 10 minutes, and LAPD did not get involved that time, as we are southbound on northbound on Santa Fe, headed towards downtown Los Angeles, but making another turn. As soon as we call out a street, he makes another turn. And as we head down Randolph Street, right kind of straddling all those tiny towns south of downtown Los Angeles.
Now, let's see what he does here. He makes a left turn onto Albany Street. This is a more narrow street. Would you say more residential, Desmond?
Yeah, not very lit up very well at all. At least it's wide. It's not as narrow as some of the streets, but there's almost no street lights, and a black vehicle again with no lights on, just so dangerous for all of these people making circles once again now on Clarendon Avenue. I wish we could see some spike strips involved in this, but he's just been all over the place in a pretty unpredictable manner and got some pretty high speeds. I'm not sure that the police will be able to get any units involved. There's LA County Sheriff's deputies just kind of watching. Just kind of watching from afar there on Gage Avenue. So I think it would be pretty hard to get spike strips going, and I think it would be difficult to do a pit maneuver, even though we're on surface streets, because we haven't even seen any of the officers be able to get right up behind him to be able to initiate anything like that. And we'll see what he does. They're coming up on Alameda. That's kind of our border here. We cannot proceed any farther. We'll just have to see. Okay, he's going up northbound Alameda, so hopefully we can keep with this. But he's right on the edge of the LAX airspace, which really hampers our camera shot. So we'll see how long we can stick with this. But he's back on Alameda and once again northbound towards downtown.
All right, well, for our viewers, we've been paying attention to this for, I would say, probably around 10, 15
pursuits. I'm wondering if he's driving so recklessly as to try to get the police to give this up, because it has happened with other agencies. It's all kind of up to one agency or another if they want to stick with a pursuit. But I was mentioning earlier this afternoon how LA County Sheriff's deputies, once a stolen vehicle, two separate times took off on them and actually got in a minor wreck and continued. They said, all right, and they let it go. And I think they monitored it from the helicopter for a little bit, and then they even pulled the helicopter off it. And you hate to hear about that, and I almost wonder if some of these suspects are getting more and more brazen to try to get away, almost like daring the police to chase them. And as a matter of fact, I'm not seeing any units behind him at this point. They may have actually gone into surveillance mode as we're on Pacific Boulevard, still driving with the lights out. They still have the helicopter overhead, so they're going to be calling out the streets to all of the units on the ground and letting them know where this guy is. But it does seem like perhaps at this point they have gone out of pursuit mode into tracking mode, just because it has been getting so dangerous. And then once this does come to a stop, they'll keep an eye on him, and hopefully he runs out of gas or something. And if they have units nearby, if there's someone standing by.